The stage is now set for the Big Brother finale episode tonight. We have our final three set up. Ashley, Vince, Morgan. Don't know how many people predicted this would be the final three, but here we are. I will say though, I don't think it's that much of a surprise that a majority alliance, its members, managed to make it to the final three. I mean, shout out to the judges for that. We saw at the very beginning of the jury, Rachel set it off. Things started to go down for this alliance. They managed to beat the odds with 3 of the 5 members making it to the final 3, so we gotta give them a little pat on the chest for that. I know I didn't get y'all the recap video from Friday's episode. That's because there wasn't really much that was going on. I'm not the biggest fan of those episodes at the end of the season where the house guests get around the table and just yap. It feels very forced. Dialogue feels very scripted. It's not that much to talk about, to be honest. With that said, though, we finally got to see the jury house in this last episode, so I will be talking about some of the thoughts of the jurors from that episode. Now, we haven't seen Ava join the jury house just yet, so we haven't seen their reactions to how she blew up on Vince in the episode before she got sent home. That could change a lot of things. So right now, I'm just going to focus on what they've said so far. I'm going to break down each of these final 3 house guests' chance of winning this season before I give y'all who I believe is going to be the winner of Big Brother 27. With all those things said, if you like anything I gotta say in this video, you already know what y'all gotta do. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Do all those things. Let's get into some of the thoughts of the jury. Alright, so I literally went back to the last episode to rewatch the jury house scenes just to get an accurate depiction of how they're feeling about these remaining house guests. Now, at least in the edit, not much has been said about Ashley by the jury house, but there's a lot that's been said about Vince and Morgan because obviously there's been a lot of developments in their games since the beginning of the jury house. You see them first and foremost applauding Vince and Morgan for winning when they absolutely have to in this portion of the game. Kelly insinuates that Morgan's been throwing these competitions, but Rachel, being the Big Brother enthusiast that she is, understands that no, Morgan's just winning when she absolutely has to. Versus Vince, who now has 4 HOHs, which is undeniable, has the most HOHs by far of anybody left in the game. That is a resume booster in and of itself. But then we get into some of the decisions that Vince has made in particular up until this point that we are in the jury house. We have him sending home Kelly over Keanu the week Kelly went home, and also putting up his ally Lauren in a renom situation, which a lot of them attest to it being Morgan's move as opposed to Vince's, which is not good for Vince. Even though I'm not understanding how nobody is calling out the fact that Lauren did not touch the block before that, which is why I was arguing with Vince. You should just put Lauren up from the beginning of the week, let her attempt a veto. If she wins it, she takes herself off the block. She can't say she didn't touch the block in the final 2 settings, and she's still in the house. Whether or not y'all could still rock out after that is up to her. She did what you had to do for your game. If she went up to the final 2 and was like, oh, I ain't never touched a block, that's a feat. Jury also commented on the fact that, yeah, Vince has definitely been playing a questionable game recently. Like I said, he's been getting wins when he needs to, specifically HOHs. While his game is slimy and a lot of the jury house obviously does not mess with him, Big Brother is a slimy game at the end of the day. He's just doing what he has to do to ensure that he has the best chance possible to win the $750,000. Everything, of course, except getting rid of Morgan, who is also building a resume for herself at this point that the jury has acknowledged, putting herself in position time and time again to make Vince's HOHs even harder for him, making decisions that doesn't really get much blood on Morgan's hands versus Vince, who will be the HOH at the wrong time. It's going to be interesting to see how these votes shake out because right now a lot of the jury seemingly does not mess with Vince for obvious reasons. How Morgan's been able to disrupt the game, winning challenges at the very last minute, taking over HOHs, essentially making things easier on her and harder for the HOH at the time, that being Vince. With those thoughts out the way, I want to quickly assess all of the remaining house guests' chance, in my opinion, of winning the $750,000. Starting with Ashley. I want to start with Ashley because the jury house did not really talk much about Ashley in this episode. I think they'll probably have more to say once Ava joins the house in the next one tonight, but we shall see. Despite the fact that the jury didn't talk about Ashley though, she does have a pretty good chance of winning the game. Now, spoilers if you are not a live feeder, I am not either. But I do know the results of the first 2 parts of this HOH competition. So if you ain't watching the episode, you ain't watching this video, and you don't want to be spoiled, you might want to just step real quick. From what I've heard, Morgan goes on to win the first part of this HOH competition, and Ashley wins the second. So now it's no more Vince in the equation. It's Ashley and Morgan in this final part of the HOH competition, and whoever wins chooses who they want to bring to the final 2. Now, this is major for Ashley's game because on top of the fact that Ashley has had some of the best reads this season, and she's always had a decent to great social game. I say decent for the first half of the season when she was clinging on to Rachel. Rachel was the one in front of her shield, so she didn't have to do much talking, and she was a part of a majority alliance. But now going into the second half of the game with Rachel and Will immediately joining the jury, she's had to fend for herself in a lot of different situations, form allegiances that she probably didn't want to form, people that she does not mess with, i.e. Keanu towards the end of his run. Through these interactions, she's not only made it to the final 3, but she's won the second part of the HOH competition, giving her a chance to take herself to the final 2. Also heard that the social aspect of your game will be implemented in this final part of the HOH competition potentially. And if that's the case, we already know Ashley has a background as a lawyer, so she could definitely use this as an advantage in this final part against Morgan. So right now, I think Ashley does have a good chance of making it to final 2. What happens in final 2, I don't know. If she brings Vince, I do think she has a good chance of beating him because she'll have have the votes offer. As much as I want the jury to be objective, Vince did swindle a lot of them that thought they were working with him closer than they actually were. And I think those votes would probably funnel to Ashley. On top of that, if Ashley's able to beat Morgan in a final 2 setting and send her to the jury, then the jury would have a lot of respect for that. I mean, they've been saying that people will win when they need to. This is the most important win of the season. I'm not saying Ashley would win against Vince, but I think she has a greater shot of winning against him than Morgan at this point. Oh, we on the topic of Morgan. Let's talk about her case. I think it goes without saying Morgan has probably the best case of winning the season at this point. If we go back to the very beginning of the season, every alliance that Morgan has been a part of, even pre-jury, she has been probably the most loyal member of those alliances. Go to Triple Threat, the Melting Pot, the Judges. She's only switched up on alliance members when she's felt like they cannot be trusted anymore. Case in point, Mickey and Jimmy early on. We already know neither of them could be trusted based on how they played the game, so W read on Morgan's part. Now we're at a point in the game where Morgan is actually winning competition. All in the second half of the game, mind you. She successfully won 4 vetoes and an HOH, and won the first part of this HOH competition. Even on the weeks that she hasn't been HOH, she's played a great part in who has gone home in this second half of the season, influencing Vince's HOH at least 2 times so far, even though I would say Vince has been the one to make the final decision on who he wanted to go home at the end of the day. Can't fight Morgan's determination to want to see the target that she wants out the game out by any means. I mean, she stood up with this man Vince for like 24 hours to confirm that he was actually going to put Lauren up as a renom. So she's a competitor, and like Kelly said, what Morgan wants, she's going to get. And if she does beat Ashley in this final part of the HOH competition, I honestly do not see much of a reason why Morgan would not go on to win the season. She is the definition of winning when it matters most. Yes, Vince did the same thing early on in the season. She's literally won so many vetoes on the season already where you can't even keep her on the block if you want to. Her social gamer reads have been elite this season, so much so that people are buying into Vince actually playing his HOHs for her. And like I said, for the most part, Morgan has stayed loyal to all of her alliances, including the judges who she wanted to make the final 3 so badly. At this point in the game, I definitely do think Morgan deserves the $750,000. Now, what she does in the final 2 chairs, I don't know. I've heard she's been struggling with her final speech, which I don't understand how she could be. She's had such an immaculate game from start to finish up until this point. But I do hope if she makes it in the final 2 chairs, she doesn't fumble and choke away $750,000. We shall see. Now, finally, we got to talk about the man of the hour, Vince. Now, I know everybody's going to argue this man Vince is a slime ball. He does not deserve that $750,000 for how he's been doing his girlfriend. He's broken too many allegiances that he's had. But if you just want to talk about him playing the game of Big Brother for a second, let's not act like from a game perspective, Vince is not doing anything that past Big Brother winners have done. It is not Vince's fault that these people have chosen to trust him time and time again. This is the same man that had like 22 final 2 alliances in the first 2 weeks of the game. So it's not a shock that he is aligned with a lot of the house. Rachel even calls it out in this past episode. And that Vince has done a great job setting himself up in the house with a lot of house guests before sending them home. At the end of the day, how else are you supposed to win the money if you're not sending people home? The fact that he's able to have won 4 HOHs and have that decision himself on who to put up on the block, who to renom, that's elite power that we cannot just sneeze at. On top of that, saving himself when he has been on the block. He has about 2 blockbuster wins on the season. He's been able to keep himself in the game despite slamming people in the past. Keanu had all the power in the world to get rid of Vince and chose not to when Vince had slimed him before he even had the power to get Vince about the game. Lauren did not have to use her veto to get Vince above the block, but she did anyway because she thought they were more aligned than they actually were. And for all those things said, say what you want to say about Vince as a person, but as a Big Brother player, he has a right to this $750,000 because of the game he's played, because he's managed to get himself off the block when he needed to most, because he's won when he's needed to most. All I'm saying is we cannot deny what he has done this season. Now, if we're saying between Ashley and Morgan who he'd want to sit next to in the final 2 chairs to actually win the money, I'm going to say Ashley. If he's sitting next to Morgan, I cannot see a way that he wins at this point. It's just too many ways Morgan can go about winning against Vince versus Ashley, who he has the wins over. He has the social game over, in my opinion, for the people who have kept him in the house as long as they have been. Vince has always had a great way of getting out of bad situations. If I remember from week 1, there was a promise amongst those who competed in that first HOH competition, stating that whoever won would not put the other 2 people who competed on the block. And Vince, of course, put up Ashley, who competed in that competition. Shit was bad for Vince for a little bit, but Showergate really saved his game. And from week 1, he went on to make allegiances with other people in the house to kind of kill all the bad rep that was on his name from week 1. And then everything happened with Jimmy and Keanu, which made it even easier for Vince to continue to weasel around the game. It just feels like when his back is against the wall, something good happens to keep him in the house as long as he has been. Social game is so good, you got people pulling him in to join alliances that he had no business being a part of. I mean, think about it. If he wasn't a part of the judges, he definitely would not be in these final 3 chairs right now. That's just a testament to Vince's social game, in my opinion. Unfortunately, I feel like too many members of the jury have been burned by him too much. Like, I just cannot see Kelly, Keanu, Lauren, or Ava giving him their vote. And if he's sitting next to Ashley, Will definitely is giving Ashley his vote over Vince. While I think Vince has played a great game of Big Brother, he has a chance to win, but I just don't think he will. We shall see how this all plays out in the final episode of the season. I'm excited excited. I think it's going to be a great episode. And I feel like this final three all have a chance to win the money. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Who do y'all think is going to be the winner of Big Brother 27?